I found a hilarious trend in the things that I wrote. We'll see if you guys can pick it up.
Uh-oh.
I think the trend is hilarious. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I'm bad at spotting trends. Is that a thing? Are people good at that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see them sometimes, but it depends like what. Like what kind of a trend.
Trends are. I'm not. You know those puzzles where it's like 17, 55, 43, 82.
What's the next number?
What's the next number? I'm like,
yeah.
No,
see, those are the ones that I'm best at in terms of trend spotting. If there's numbers involved.
I don't like those puzzles, but I can do them okay. The ones that I like better are the ones where they give you like, here's a clue, here's another clue, and then here's the third clue, but each of them reference different people, and then you have to find out which person brought dogs and which ones brought the cats and all that stuff.
There's a name for those. It's like the 5x5 grid.
Yeah, basically you draw out a big grid and you put X's all over the place, and then you have to infer stuff based on what they didn't say, and yeah, I like those puzzles. I don't think I'm good at them, but I like them.
Episode 100, the Puzzle Cast.
Man, right. We could be.
There's no better way to say this, but we've hit a numerical milestone, although I believe not an actual one, considering... Well, okay, so numerically this is episode 100. Welcome.
That's right.
We Were Gamers, a podcast. I don't mean to sell us short. I just think that we've done more than 100 episodes.
Are you saying, Andy, that we don't do anything by half measures except when we decide to do things by half measures?
Like episode 99.5? Is that what you're...
Something like that.
I'm actually a really big fan of the idea of episode 99.5. Also, like, undoubtedly, if you went back and counted everything we've ever put out, including all those bonus episodes and stuff that we've done over the years, like, easily well above 100.
Yeah. It's just funny, too, because, you know, really, what's 52, 104 would be the, 2-year mark or whatever. So
yeah.
you in 4 more episodes, you could have another party. But I guess it's important to mark an occasion. And I'm glad that you two are here with me. Michael joining us a few episodes ago, and JJ since the beginning with both of us here. I'm just happy to be here with you guys.
Well, we're happy to be here with you too, Andy.
It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, and it sounds like we got everything worked out by episode 100 like we said we were going to. Thus episode 99.5.
As far as the people need to know.
You could say that it's been a long road getting from there to here.
Oh gosh. Anytime anybody wants to quote the opening to Enterprise, I'm in. I have a brief homeowner's question before we get into episode 100.
I love it.
Can someone tell me how to get super glue off of everything?
Uh-oh.
There's super glue on everything.
I know a way to get super glue off of things. You might not like what those things do when you use this method.
The only tried and true method I remember is knives.
Okay. I was going to suggest turpentine.
Okay.
Which will work, but again, you may not like what it does to the surfaces.
Sure.
Ditto for belt sander.
Also would work, yeah. I believe in that one.
I don't think I want to take a belt sander to my fingers.
Oh, your fingers?
You could splash a little turpentine on them. It won't kill you.
Like I said, everything.
Yeah, that part will not be great.
Some homeowners' projects you think are the simplest end up being the worst.
Because it will strip the heck out of all paint on everything.
Yep.
But it does work. I can tell you that.
That's how things are going over here. How's it going over there? Where's your horseshoe pit at?
It's doing well, actually. I have a fully functional backstop now. Okay. I have some improvements I want to make to it. I want to build like a rest area like behind it so you could like set a beer or something while you were out there. But like if someone wanted to come over and play horseshoes, it would be successful at stopping them from flying off. So in that respect, it is quote unquote done.
I've been thinking about your horseshoe pit for a little bit of time. Is there, because Michael and I have built a cornhole set in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we, in discovering this, found out that there are regulation size bags and weights and fillings.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Are there separate competition horseshoes?
Oh, absolutely. And there are like regulation lengths and sizes and types of pits, even.
Mm-hmm.
None of which I meet. Firstly, my backyard is not long enough to create like a regulation size horseshoe pit. You would have to go from literally like fence to fence, which then leaves you no space for a backstop except the fence, and also no place to stand behind it. And I already have something else. I have a planter box that's built in my backyard, so I can't stand inside that.
I'm sure that it would not be appreciated if we shot over it either.
No, and there really isn't space to do that, because if you're shooting over the planter box, you're probably going over the fence. Like,
generally not a good way to make friends with your neighbors.
No, they would be unhappy with that turn of events, I suspect, especially since the horseshoes I have are heavy and metal. So.
Sorry, I cracked the tile on your pool with my horseshoe. Can I have it back, please?
Yeah, they would be... It wouldn't be great. Is that your awning? Well, there's a hole in it. Sorry. But yeah, so no, it's just completely custom. I think like professional pits are made with clay. Clay is expensive and hard to get. Sand is very easy to get.
Yes, we had the sand episode. I remember.
Yeah, we talked about that. But the stick is like, I tried to put it at the correct angle, which is like slightly leaning forward. But I didn't get out there with like a measurement, and I took a best guess, man. It's a backyard horseshoe pit. Look, you either play the game or you don't, right? It's not
you play.
No one is out here I'm not out here trying to hustle people in horseshoes.
Well, we discussed doing a meta episode. I don't know how to explain that. I think JJ's will be best to explain it, but I also want to catch up on what people have been doing. I think we should do that part first. Thoughts?
Sounds good.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Because it's been a little bit of time. We've been gone for a few weeks, and I want to know, because I actually had some time in the past few weeks. I've been dipping my toes in different games.
Anything worth mentioning?
Other games. What's that?
Anything worth mentioning?
Sure. Well, I talked about StarCraft, I think, a couple episodes ago. I was trying it out again. And, man, that game controls badly, and it just gets worse the further into it you go, and the missions get harder, and you have to try and micro against carriers with Zerg. And playing as Zerg in StarCraft 1 really sealed the deal for me. StarCraft 2 is a better game, just hands down entirely, even if the story is worse.
Yeah.
I did get
can
to
definitely
the point...
tell they learned stuff, right? Like they took some lessons.
Yeah. I got to the point that about mission 8 in each race's things, I'm typing in a little power overwhelming just to hustle things along.
Good choice.
Well, every mission takes 30 minutes or more if you're trying to do it,
Yep.
And the later ones can take multiple hours of time if you're really playing through it. So I'm good. Also tried the new WoW Alpha. I got an invite to that.
Oh, that's cool.
I fell through the floors of a dock in the new zone and couldn't figure out how to get back up onto the dock. I assume it's a bug of some kind.
Sounds right.
And there were walls that were there in certain directions and not there in other directions. And then I kind of was like, this is really an alpha, and I don't know if I'm going to learn and if I want to play WoW again from this. So then I put it back down. Although being an allied race was cool for a minute, just like building a different character. But man, it's probably still WoW, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the alphas that Blizzard puts out are actually alphas whereas the betas are more or less finished products.
I have to say that it didn't
pretty close.
It looked very cool. Those new zones looked cool, but I don't know. I'm not going to learn much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I learned that.
Would you like if it was fun? Would you consider getting back into WoW though?
I would need to be handheld back through what WoW is as a game, I think, because the leveling up and progressing a character and learning what they do isn't there anymore. You know, you just shoot straight to 110 and you have 58 abilities all at once, and learning your class feels like it might even take longer.
Well, I mean, you definitely still can do the leveling treadmill if you want to, but
yeah.
I think it's not what a lot of people are there for. But again, maybe since you would be...
I was just hoping that Alpha might show me
right?
whether I wanted to do it again or not. And then, aside from the MMO question, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a hard question because everybody's going to get into it with this new patch, you know?
It is always the thing where whenever WoW releases a new thing, you see your Blizzard friend list fill up with people playing WoW again, and you're like, man.
I've been avoiding BattleTech streams. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, I've been watching some.
Oh no, I don't want the story spoiled.
I learned a little bit, but I don't know how much it really matters. I was really more into watching the stuff where they're talking about how to build mechs and
I watched
showing
that
off the gameplay and that stuff.
I watched the Mech Bay thing. What'd you think?
It's cool, man. I think it's very cool how they have spent a lot of time thinking about how to tell you that, hey, you're doing something that's not optimal here, or hey, what you're doing doesn't make any sense, or doing the thing with hard points that prevent you from putting 15 lasers in one arm and then all the ammo in a different arm or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think was a cool way to sort of limit the craziness that you can do with various mechs. It's oh, I want to put 57 missiles all in my center torso, right?
Right. Because why wouldn't you want everything in your torso, right? You can't fall off.
It's hard. Yeah, exactly. It's better. So it was smart of them to make those kind of limitations. And the way that it shows it is relatively straightforward once you figure out what all the symbols mean and whatnot. The thing that I thought was coolest was during some of the campaign gameplay, they showed that not only can you do all the customization and stuff that you can do for the multiplayer, but there's a loot aspect to the game where you can find better versions of those weapons. It's still the same weapon or whatever, but hey, this LRM-10 has +1 bonus damage, or this one does 5% chance more to crit or whatever.
Oh, really? I didn't catch
That's
that part.
cool. Yeah, and so I think that's single player only stuff. You can't take that into multiplayer for obvious balance reasons. But that sounded very cool to me. So if you choose to negotiate for more salvage in a mission, because they also the salvaging stuff is real in that if you are fighting in a mission and you blow up a mech, you're not going to get salvage from it, right? But that also up front, you can negotiate how much salvage versus how much money you get on a contract. If you are in, if you're in good reputation with the people you're taking it with, they might allow you to get more salvage in exchange for slightly less money, as opposed to trading almost all of your upfront money for better salvage,
Yeah, it's a cool mechanic.
And so then, that and learning about how the money and how you have to pay costs and all that stuff, and how that the outside simulation from the battle part was very cool. It made me more excited to play that game for sure.
It was nice that I don't feel behind not knowing as much stuff, because it's not like an MMO. It's not something you have to race to be the best at. In terms of online play is online play, right? And you don't unlock anything because it's a paid game. There's no get this loot box to make sure that you get a Jenner or whatever, So that's a good part about that game, and it's nice to have been able to sparsely pick up the stuff I wanted to and then avoid story stuff as well. But I mentioned that because in avoiding BattleTech streams actively, I've been watching Overwatch League still, by the way, and it's good. I still complain about the viewership, but they added this new thing called the Command Center or something. Yeah, it's like Command Center. So through Twitch, you essentially get a second screen, a second monitor, like a new window opens, where you can pick another camera that you want to watch.
Whoa. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And like it gives you a whole bunch of stats on as well on this screen, so like you can choose to show yourself like people's ultimate levels, things like that. So I think they're trying to figure out the viewership experience. Yeah, you have to pay for it. I mean, it's free for this stage of the playoffs or whatever they are, the season. But for people that are really into it, that's a good idea. I mean, $20 to understand what the heck's going on and not have to follow the lead of the observer or whatever. But I do think they still need to figure out a way for casuals to watch that's not, because I was thinking about this when we talked about it last, and when you go to the arena, you can follow what's going on because you can see a whole bunch of different views at once. But not so on the stream scenario. But
I wonder if that's like a case where if they were running their own broadcast style thing, where, you know, like the thing that comes to mind is like MLB TV, right? Which is like a streaming service that Major League Baseball does. And you can watch every game and like every camera angle from every game, I think, and like switch between them whenever you want. I think
this is where this command center thing is headed.
If so, that's very cool.
I would like it to have what it's like. Okay, on screen 1 you get the casters and the main view, and on screen 2 you get whatever other camera you want, and then second half of screen 2 is like an overarching just static map of where all the characters are or something like that. Or yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's something that back when I went to the International for Dota several years ago, seeing it in that big live arena was cool because the way they did the Jumbotron is they didn't show the game on the Jumbotron, but they showed the mini map up there. And then, you know, the screens that were up all around the arena showed the game. So you could always glance up at the Jumbotron and see the mini map, which would show people's positions and, you know, whatever, where everyone was in relation to everyone else. And that sounds kind of like what we're talking about that we need here for Overwatch. It doesn't have like a mini-map in-game representation, right? But like that's the kind of thing.
Yeah, they definitely have that view. It's just tough because you're not in an arena. You know, they have to figure out a way to, like MLB TV, to make that a thing that you can understand easily for casual viewership.
And like Overwatch has like a verticality element that Dota doesn't really have also. Right. So there's that. Yeah.
There's always a Pharah somewhere.
That's right.
Their PvE event is coming up too, so I'll actually be playing Overwatch up until the second the BattleTech comes out, starting I think the day this podcast comes out. So it's the one time of year that I get to delve into tons of Overwatch because there's PvE.
That sounds really awesome.
Also, there's some Fortnite to talk about, but I don't think today's the day. We're missing out on talking about Fortnite, I think, but
are we though?
Today's not the day.
Okay, we'll cover that another day, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean we have to talk about it.
We don't, though. I mean, unless you've played it,
we have to talk about it.
Okay. Well, another time.
That's a different.
I haven't really gotten through much. I played some more Into the Breach. I did finish a game that I started maybe on the last podcast called Mr. Shifty.
Yeah,
it's a pretty short game. It turns out. No.
Thief.
Yes. Well, it's an action game, really. It turns out there's a lot of shooting people or punching them through walls and into each other and all that stuff. Anyway, that game gets really freaking hard in the last level. Because actually I like breezed through most of the game, and then in the last level I died like a countless number of times.
It really feels like a missed opportunity. I like the idea of the game you were describing, like the physics-based bouncing people off of things, and but Mr. Shifty is such a name that where you want it to just be like Pink Panther 2.0.
It kind of starts that way. You're like trying to sneak in and steal a thing and all this, but then like immediately you just start murdering people and taking their guns and shooting them, and it's not a stealth thing like almost immediately. But the game is very fun. Like I said, I got it on the Twitch Prime subscription. If you have it, it is short, and if you just want something where you can just like run through and blow stuff up, it's pretty good for that for sure. Use a controller though. You need to have a controller.
I would assume you're still playing Hearthstone. So which one's next week or the week after?
It comes out on the 12th, which I think is later the week this podcast goes up. So
yeah.
Yes.
So while I'll be playing Overwatch.
Yeah. The single player portion doesn't come out for a couple weeks yet after that. But I think all the new cards are releasing on the 12th.
Awesome. So we know what you'll be doing when this podcast comes out.
Probably, yeah.
Michael?
I finished a game, which is always a nice thing to be able to say.
Is it an RPG, or did you give up?
It is an RPG.
Hey! He's more effective at finishing these than I am.
We saw credits.
Much quicker than me at RPGs, I think.
Yeah, it was good. You know, I got into the story wanting to know where it was going, which makes you want to finish the game a little faster. And they do.
You're saying things picked up.
Things did pick up. Not that they were slow at any point.
We should say you were playing Trails in the Steel Story of Cold Sky 2 Part 1.
Trails in the Sky, first chapter.
There you go.
But yeah, it was good. I really liked. So one of the things that keeps you from getting bogged down is there wasn't any point in the game where I really felt like, okay, I'm gonna have to take 4 hours and just grind my characters at this point. I did a little bit of that here and there to get a little bit of extra cash to spend, but in every chapter of the game, there is this one particular enemy that you can farm for max cash in every battle. So it cuts way down on the grinding.
You didn't have to do the Final Fantasy run back and forth on a beach for 3 hours?
Nope, none of that.
And actually, the game is pretty forgiving on normal, that if you don't want to do even that, like you don't need to upgrade people's armor every time you get to a new town. You really don't need to upgrade people's your orbments or your magic stuff every time you get to a new town. It's not like, it might make the game a little tougher for you, but it really isn't going to handicap you as much as it seems like it might.
Yeah.
Focus on weapons and you'll probably be fine. So it's nice that way, at least.
JJ seemed to have liked that game when he played it, and did you come away from it with a good feeling?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They actually at the very end of the game, after the credits roll, they show you a little teaser trailer for the second game, which I'm sure is something they've added for this port in particular. But it just makes me that much more eager to jump into the next game.
Well, speaking of ports real quick, Square Enix Reverse Course, that sounds like, on that Chrono Trigger port.
Yeah, that was kind of an unexpected move on their part. I don't know
if it was a full about face though, was it? You heard more about this than me, maybe.
Yeah, so they are releasing. They're not changing the base game, but they are releasing an option basically where you can toggle the graphics back to the non-HD original 16-bit Super Nintendo version.
They're allowing you to turn off all the weird filters that they applied to the original sprites.
Yes.
And so that's the main thing people were complaining about, not the mobile touch control things.
Well, look, people don't like any of it, but this is the one that they're fixing.
Okay, right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think, Michael, you had at some point when we're starting this game, as a big fan, This game ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, I think it's fair to say.
Okay,
yes,
hold on.
yeah, there's
We're not going to talk about what it is.
Yeah, there's some big twists and then a cliffhanger.
And I want to point out that, think about this, when this game came out, between the release of that game on the PC and the sequel on the PC was 6 years.
Nope.
Imagine being that person having to wait.
It's basically like playing Game of Thrones, the video game.
Yes.
Game of Thrones, the video game. That's nice. I mean, we can talk about the ending because I think we have to do a spoiler warning anyway. Michael made some predictions on this game, and
that's right. I did make some predictions.
I wrote them down.
Okay. Well, then we should do a spoiler warning here because I'm pretty sure we have to talk specifically about some stuff that he said.
Yep. Yeah, we will.
All right.
So if you are interested in playing Trails in the Sky first chapter and don't want the story spoiled, although this may make you want to play the game more after hearing this, I don't know.
I'm always intrigued by the... I do know at least one person that played the game, played Bravely Default based on hearing our prediction podcast, the follow-up. So...
Oh, cool.
Anyway, okay, I have written down here the military intel colonel is aiding the brigands.
Okay, so that one, I'm going to give myself that one. That's pretty much spot on. He's almost the mastermind behind it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to know at that point that he wasn't the actual mastermind, but like close enough.
Right.
Close enough is close enough. I mean, if you got the spirit of it, then you got it.
Yeah, he got it.
Despite my typo here, which I should just read, I'm going to read it with my typo.
Okay.
The dad was the McMuffin.
He was the eggiest of McMuffins.
I think I tried to type MacGuffin, but my computer was hungry.
Yep. I'm going to give myself that one too, because they chase their dad the whole time and never find him until he does a little Deus Ex Machina at the end.
Yeah, he does show up and kind of save the day a little bit towards the end.
Full Metal Alchemist action.
There are still a lot of unresolved questions with the father, so I think it's a fair. We'll say that you got that as well.
The last one is probably going to be the best one.
Okay.
Are they all alive?
Yes. Yeah, they are all alive still.
Yep. No one is dead.
Not yet, anyway.
No one is technically dead.
The band is not necessarily together, but they are all still there.
Nice. But I mean, did you feel satisfied with the ending, huh? Or not satisfied?
I mean, it opens these real huge doors, and then just kind of like, well, guess you have to play the next one.
Yeah, the ending to this game in specific, like Trails first chapter, the ending specifically is really, really bad in that they give you like one of the biggest moments in the story, and then they're like, all right, see ya. Like, it's like, here are the credits now. You're like, but, that,
Yeah, it's just like one of those minor character is the puppet master moments.
Yeah, it's really, it is really something for sure.
All right. Well, you went 3 for 3. I didn't do that good.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed. I got them all. I was half expecting to be wrong on at least one of the last two. Either the dad showed up before the end of the game, or that someone actually died.
Yeah. I guess we should have been more specific about the all alive part, but it's all good.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Sweet.
And so are you interested then? Are you planning to jump into the second chapter soon?
So I'm debating. I have the second chapter. I got it on one of the Steam sales last year. I want to dive into it, but I'm thinking that I might go back and finish the Professor Layton game that I'm halfway through.
All right. So JJ's up on Hearthstone. You got Leighton. I'm going to be overwatching. That's where we are in episode 100. I think it's time to get meta.
Yeah.
It's it's reflective time. It's time to take in all the things we've done and say, audio is really hard even though it shouldn't be. And no wonder we're not streaming.
Yeah, man, I can't imagine how much this podcast sometimes, for being as little work as it may seem like it is sometimes, if we had video, I can't imagine how much more work we would have to do.
Yeah. I don't know that I would be very entertaining on video, but yeah, I mean, sometimes we blow it out of proportion, I guess, a little bit for the listenership. But then there are nights when we've had some pretty decent dings in time on audio issues, and that's like 80 episodes in, and you're like, why is this happening? There's no way. And technical issues when we're out. We've tried to do stuff out in the field. I've enjoyed trying to go out in the field too when we were using recorders at events and stuff, and that has caused its own interesting dilemmas on it.
And sometimes it's worked just fine or okay, and then other times it's just been completely inoperable, and you're just like, what was the difference between this time and that other time?
Yeah.
I seem to recall listening to one episode where the wind basically got the better of you guys.
Oh, we just had to call it quits. There was no way. Yeah. And there was no better way to record either, because it was just like loud people or wind. Those are your two options. And, it's sometimes also harder than you'd think to number something a half episode. So certain programs don't like that sort of thing.
Oh, really?
Certain programs.
I didn't hear that end of it. That's funny, actually.
Yeah. But I don't know. Looking back on a bunch of episodes, Michael, you for less being on the podcast, but also having listened to all of them, I mean, it's time to take stock, man. What can we improve on, do you think? Or what have we liked best?
Well, having listened from the beginning and not been a part of it, it's real clear to hear the progression in the conversational flow that you guys have. The whole sort of back and forth seems to come a lot more easily now than it did when you were first starting out. I think that's one of the most obvious things to me.
The timidity is gone.
Yeah, at least I wonder how much of that is editing. I don't know how much editing you do on a weekly basis of like cutting out awkward pauses, because there aren't too many of them these days when we record. It definitely happened a lot more in the early days.
There was the need for editing in a lot of reasons in the early days, like headphones.
Oh yeah.
Reverberating
the audio
around.
quality.
The audio quality, has
Yeah.
increased measurably with microphone improvements, although those came with their own audio issues. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like that car that I hear right now.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. Sorry about that.
It's just saying.
We'll
that
fix
type
it
of
in
stuff
post.
used to happen all the time.
So what have I'll ask you guys, what have been some of your favorite moments over 100 and some odd episodes?
Well, I think I have. I spent a little time thinking about this topic because I knew we had planned to kind of talk about do a little bit of meta talking about ourselves here. I have a very clear favorite moment of anything that we've ever done, and I don't know if it will be the same one as Andrew, but it could very well be. But I really, really enjoyed talking to the BattleTech developers.
Oh yeah, there's no real way to top.
Yeah, people that have been like kind of not necessarily like heroes to me, but like, people that I have looked up to in worlds that I have enjoyed for a long, long time, and getting to talk with them in person through the internet, as it were. Was really special. So
it's a special thing because they're very much in the way that Blizzard is a fan-centric creation, right? that you can make a lot of arguments about how big they are and how they operate now. Very much the BattleTech community, Jordan and his creations especially, they still stand the fan test after all this time, right? And the way that they've been created, it was a real honor to take that on. And we have some stuff in the pipe. We have some stuff in the pipe. Yeah. That will be very similar, but up until now, 100 episodes in, clearly stands out as the number one recording for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was kind of like a bullet on number one there. But then kind of more generally, some of the stuff that we have done otherwise, I actually sometimes really enjoy talking about the homeowners minute hilariously. Like it is a forum to hear the troubles of the other adults that I know.
You'd never know that my fingers were super glued together this morning without the homeowners minute.
See, and this is the kind of information that really makes people real, It lets you know that they have the same dumb problems in their life as you. Not that you're dumb or that your problems are dumb, but you feel that the things that you have are stupid sometimes, and you're like, oh, no, everyone is dealing with dumb stuff like this.
Yeah, so dumb problems I feel like is a single word. It's not there's no adjective there, right?
Right.
Like everybody's got dumb problems. Like everything is
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And it's very humanizing to get to talk with people. It would be like something you would do with friends, or do with friends in this case.
Speaking of doo-doo, let me tell you about toilet flappers for a second.
Okay. No, this is look, this is where this goes.
Okay, I'm with it.
So literally in your toilet, in your tank, right, there's a little flapper, and you press your handle. Every toilet works this way. You press your little handle down, and it flushes by lifting a little flapper, and the water goes out of the tank, and it comes down to the bowl and flushes all this stuff out.
Yeah.
Okay. I followed the directions exactly. I replaced it with an OEM part, and the thing doesn't flush the way it used to flush.
But in what way does it not?
So normally you press a handle on a toilet and you press it down and then you can let go, right? And then it goes, right? The pressure goes, the flapper stays up, and out it goes. This one you have to hold it down for a good 2 or 3 seconds so that the pressure builds up enough to keep the flapper open. It's like it's heavier or something. I am very confused, and I plan to call them. I have to call a toilet manufacturer to figure out my flapper problems, you guys. This is just not. These are dumb problems.
That I don't know how that happens. I'm very confused.
I follow the directions exactly. I cut the exact number of links they said. The little stupid little flapper is more complicated than anything I've ever seen. It has a dial on it because it captures water in it to give it weight, so it has the right buoyancy. It's insane.
Yeah, that part sounds like you bought something really complicated.
I didn't buy anything. It was
reason.
sent to me. It's a replacement part, like a manufacturer replacement part for warranty. I didn't buy it.
I really got nothing, man. You should just buy a normal rubber one from Home Depot. Doo-doo, and dumb problems. Moving on.
Science.
Homeowners Minute 2.0.
Well, this actually discussion segues very well into the next thing I had on this list, which is the random off-topic conversations we get on to. So it was almost... Yeah, well, it turns out that a lot of those conversations are some of the most fun to have because they're completely unplanned, and you don't have to worry about how to flow the conversation towards one thing or a different thing, and they're fun. It's fun to talk randomly about toilet flappers for whatever reason.
Is it? I hope.
So then, other stuff that I really like are when we kind of do a deep dive on stuff. For instance, when we have we get to check in with a person multiple times along the way of something and kind of hear their thoughts evolve about something over time.
Yeah, I think 100 episodes in, we have to thank our repeat check-ins, right?
Totally.
Chris, Ryan, Agent
Ken,
Zero Cool.
Yeah.
Ken.
Just even when like we've checked in with Andrew over the course of 100 and whatever episodes about his finally progressing through Bravely Default, or Michael as he plays through Trails in the Sky, or, I enjoy hearing the slow progress and hearing about, where you got to today and sort of that stuff. I also just really like listening to the intro music sometimes, you guys.
We lucked out. We really lucked out. We lucked into that music. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I do just play it randomly on my my musical playlist sometimes. So big shout out to Marley Rosner there.
Oh yeah, 100 episodes of Marley Rosner's music. Everybody still has no website that we can send you to. So, oh well.
Yeah. That like we do news and stuff, and that's all good. News is good only because it leads to all the other things that I also like.
I think that there's some really valuable news stuff that we've gotten into the weeds on, especially in we do, in 100 episodes. I got the funniest comment I think I've ever gotten. Shout out to Sean. Was I sure have never played Hearthstone, but I could at any point in time thanks to your podcast.
I like that.
There was a good 40 episodes straight, I think, from the beginning to now, where we just like 3/4 of it is Hearthstone. I look back on Hearthstone and maybe the podcast is really good for this, because I look back on it and I look at how much time I spent on that game, and it kind of makes me not sad that I spent the time on it, but sad in a way of having made the decision to leave it behind. Not like it's excommunicado or whatever. It's still installed on my computer if I ever want to do dungeon runs or something like that. But walking away from the being excited about every set and playing it, looking back through the podcasts and having been so into it, it kind of just makes me a little we were gamersy.
Yeah, it is a nice feeling, knowing that you go back and like think about some of the stuff, like games that you used, like for instance for me, like I think about the times when I used to play WoW a lot, and I think like, man, it was really fun those times when I would just be online at night and like hang out with people in my guild and talk or whatever, and while we were farming or whatever, doing random stuff. It's like that was a pretty good time.
Yeah. Infuriated texts to Ryan about laddering, which may have changed with this new ladder setup. Speaking of which, how are you doing on this new ladder setup?
I got to rank 5 very quickly last month. It reset, and I am at 8 again now.
Oh, okay. Because it's only 4 days or 9 days into the month.
I haven't spent a ton of time trying to raise my rank. I was at 9, and now I'm at 8.
Got it.
Yeah. It's definitely taken the pressure off of needing to play a lot of ranked, which is nice.
Yeah, see, stuff like that. Oh, man. We Were Gamers is such a good name for a podcast, because there's so many moments when you could look back and be like, oh, maybe I should play that again, or oh, I wish I could,
I actually did spend, speaking of Hearthstone and the dungeon run, I spent some time because there were 2 classes I had not gotten to the end of the dungeon run with, and I finally did get wins with both of those classes last week. God, it's so hard to win with Priest. I think I had like almost 200 bosses defeated as Priest before I got the win.
Wow.
It's a lot. Man. But it felt good to finally get that win before the next set came out. So that was like a fun little mini achievement,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever get that nostalgia wave on any game, Michael?
Yeah, I do. And there are ones that I will break out, usually an emulator from time to time, and just play through again. Link to the Past is one that I break out on a semi-regular basis just to play through, all or part of. There's some others.
Yeah, I really have been getting the itch to play Symphony of the Night again recently. Haven't put any time to actually do that, but I've been thinking about it recently since they've been talking about that the Kickstarter's progress recently.
Is that game ever coming?
Yeah, they've been showing it. It goes to trade shows and stuff, so people have played parts of it.
Oh, I'm actually going to sidetrack things for a second. Jay,
Yes.
did you, speaking of Metroidvania, did you back Bloodstained on Kickstarter?
Yes, I did. Yeah, a long time ago.
Did you, I don't know if you still actively get the updates from them, but in one of the last ones they sent just in the last week or two, did you see the announcement that they are building in the option to mine cryptocurrency while you play?
Did you see what day that email was sent out?
Oh, was this, was I April Fools'd?
Yes, that's correct. You were.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I must have read the update after the fact.
Yeah, they did. They put out as a joke update that, and then I believe the next day published another update saying, "Yeah, that was a joke. Please don't. Please don't say anything bad about us."
That would have been hilarious.
I think the best way to play this off right now is for you to say that somebody else got April Fools, like Kotaku or somebody, and that you just were going off reporting.
Yeah, sure.
Smart.
We'll go with that. You heard it here second.
There we go. Not a primary source. But yeah, I did back that game on Kickstarter. Their updates are not frequent, but they've shown some stuff, like some of the new updated rendering and stuff that they've done. They've changed some designs for some of the big bosses and stuff that were in the demo a while back. So yeah, I'm still excited to play that game. But it's been a long wait, and I don't think it's getting shorter. So
yeah, kick-started games, I tend to put them on the back burner and forget about them until, hey, they're here.
Yeah, and Pillars of Eternity 2 has been like that. It's coming out pretty soon, also, by the way. And BattleTech similarly, where it's been several years of waiting for these kinds of games to come out.
I literally have no headspace for anything other than getting through the next 20-something days of Overwatch and then just going ham on BattleTech.
Yeah, that's a good way to be.
But it's amazing. In I was going to talk about this a little bit. I'll talk about it next time, I guess. But I've kind of been in a aimless space on what I wanted to play next because I felt like these things were coming, and I'm like, I kind of just don't want to pick anything up and then drop it. So I've got a lot of chores done. Oh man.
Yeah, that's why I feel Michael's pain in committing to starting a large multi-part many-hour RPG series when you're like, man, I want to do the next part of this thing, but do I have 80 hours over the next several months or whatever?
Yeah, I've got my Steam up, so I was pulling up what my my playtime was through Trails in the Sky, and it looks like it's at about 47 hours.
Oh
okay,
boy,
that's pretty good.
But that's all achievements. So I did a 100% achievement run.
Oh okay.
Oh man,
wow, you committed.
Which when you consider it in that light, is actually shorter than 100% achievement run in a lot of RPGs.
It's no 100-hour Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
It's 160 hour.
Oh my god. Oh man.
And importantly to note is they added the turbo feature to that game, which did not exist when it came out originally.
Yes.
So consider
my
how
goodness.
long that would be if you had played it without that feature.
Yeah, because a couple of the achievements to get, you have to make one choice, save the game, make a choice, go through a scene or a battle, and then load that save and make the opposite choice. And some of those scenes, a couple of them are at the end of chapters, so it's a lot of dialogue.
Oh my. I'm going to interject a Steam discovery that I can't remember if I've brought up on this podcast.
Okay.
in the past, I've said that you have to make a purchase every year to maintain your marketplace access. Just a PSA for everybody. Did you know that unless you want to fill out what I assume is a W-9 for Steam, you are limited to 200 sales on the community marketplace per year?
I did not know that. Also, do you mean a W-2?
No, a W-9, because you're not an employee, you're an independent contractor.
Okay. I did not know that there was a limit on that. Huh.
Regardless of the price?
Yes, and it's listings, so if you put one up and take it down, oops.
Wow.
So you're limited to basically $2 a year from Steam.
Well, that's just patently not true, because you can sell cards for more than a penny.
Well, I'm being facetious. $6.
Yeah, I mean, the only times where it's viable to sell cards for more than a pittance is like right after the game comes out.
Yeah, or foils.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, or if you get lucky and get foils or whatever. Yeah, totally. Or if it has, like, sadly, a cute girl on them.
Well, we won't go there on this podcast. But, yeah, that was a weird discovery in Steam. But since you
man. I don't know. I think I messaged it to you too, but I don't. It's probably too late for the people of the podcast. Did you guys know Crusader Kings 2 was free on Steam for a while?
Yes, it is too late. I believe it was a weekend. Okay, so Crusader Kings 2 is, I have heard it described as sandbox, but also it's a strategy game.
They call them like grand strategy games. Paradox Interactive makes these sort of games.
These are the people that work with BattleTech.
They're the publisher. That's correct. Yeah,
working with Harebrained.
But they also have made games themselves over the years, like Crusader Kings 2 or Europa Universalis, Stellaris. These
Stellaris
sort of games
is really popular.
Yes, that's them also. And they're basically like Civilization, but like turn the dial up on the like stuff you have to manage, like all the way. And Crusader Kings 2 is sort of like a medieval Europe simulator where you play like one noble lord and you have to manage everything about your country, but then also the entire map of Europe is there for you ostensibly to do whatever you want. And like the simulation kind of just happens around you and you can kind of do what you feel based on that.
So as a sim, there's an objective and a win, or it's just until you quit on this sim and start a new one?
I don't know. I haven't played it, but I know that people do play these kind of games. You can kind of make your own fun in it in a way.
So that's what they call it, sandbox?
Right, because you are one lord, right? How much can one lord actually affect something in like the real medieval era, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not going to take over Europe here, right? Like not without doing a significant amount of work and marriages and alliances and going through hundreds of years and all this stuff. But the game lets you do that stuff. You have to manage how many children you have and who they get married to and which nobles in your region they married and then who those people, then who's in line for the throne and all these other like, oh, there was a plague and you have to manage crops and your peasants are revolting and like all of this is happening in your tiny little corner, and also every other corner of the map has its own problems, you know? And so it's this giant sim that also you can drill down into.
I'm getting anxiety.
It's a lot. But there are... So they gave the base game away for free, which I think is pretty cool for people who want to get into that stuff. But then, of course, the skeptic or the cynical people said, well, you know, the first hit is always free, and then they sell you the DLCs.
I think, but the first hit could last you years.
It absolutely could, but from my understanding, talking to people, about this, is that some of those DLCs add a bunch of really cool stuff also. So if you like that first hit and you want to, hey, maybe throw like $750 at them for like an interesting DLC that adds like paganism to the game, and a whole bunch of stuff for that. Start at a different time period and all this kind of stuff. So it's apparently very cool. I just wanted to shout that out because I thought that was a very cool move of them to sort of promote the base game for people for free, essentially, and give people what could be a really awesome experience if they've never got into that kind of stuff.
Should we just do a episode 100 part 2 next week? We could just have every episode be episode 100 from now on.
Episode 100 part 2 and then part 3 and part 4.
We could get Martin Scorsese to direct it. Each one will have an intermission.
I was going to say, are we giving it the Kingdom Hearts treatment?
Oh, no. We'll have a story that you can follow.
Divided by 2 days of podcasting.
I was going more like, I was directing more like towards the Corleone way, where like you could understand what was happening, not the like, I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 358/2 Birth by Sleep, a PSP version 3D double drop, and so I don't understand what's happening in Kingdom Hearts 4.
Also, it's Kingdom Hearts 3 somehow, despite all of that.
I got the rest of it right.
Also, you did. I think that even if you had played all those things, you wouldn't understand, because I don't think it's meant to be understood.
Who is Roxas?
Man is not meant to know.
Who is Roxas?
If you want to email us telling us who Roxas is, don't. I don't want to know.
Okay. Pod over.
But if you want to email us something constructive, with literally anything else, actually, we have an email address, which is podcast@weweregamers.com. And you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all at We Were Gamers on those places. Check us out. Leave us ratings on the YouTube and the Google and the YouTube. What? On Google
we're branching out.
For all those streams we've done, they're all on YouTube. Yeah. You can find them.
Yeah, it is. It does help a lot when people do that stuff. So I know it seems dumb, but please do that.
Maybe I should put. Maybe I should put the pods on YouTube.
I mean, you can upload anything, right? You can just upload audio if you want.
Yeah.
It's our world. You're just living in it.
Nice.
Well played.